Hello, Bev. Well, I was at Billie's house, but I thought after knocking the door and poking my nose through her big, massive 15-foot gate, I'd better scarper down the road. So I'm at the top of the Hollywood Hills with a really beautiful view of the LA city skyline behind me. But yes, after the insufferable Grammys episode on Sunday night, not just Billie Eilish, the likes of Bad Bunny, lots of other irrelevant people, basically dunking on ice and using their opportunity on the stage, collecting awards to, as Ricky Gervais would say, not thank their families and their God and then F off, as Ricky said, but using it to preach to the general public about ICE and immigration. And Billie, of course, said what she said. So I thought, whilst I'm here in LA, not predominantly to knock Billie Eilish, I'm here for something else, but I thought I'd go and pay Billie a visit and just see what her house is like. She believes in no borders. She doesn't believe anyone's illegal. So does she practice what she preaches? This is what happened a bit earlier this afternoon. Let us in, please, Billie. We are here because this is stolen land, Billie, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion. Hello, Ben Leo from The Late Show Live on GB News. Do you remember when Billie Eilish said this at the Grammys?
No one is illegal on stolen land. Nice is all I want to say, sorry.
Well, Billie reckons there's no such thing as an illegal human because we're all on stolen land. So we're here in Billie's quite posh neighbourhood in Los Angeles. Let's go and see if she practices what she preaches. Hopefully, if she sticks by her merits, she'll have no problem with me waltzing in, maybe making a cup of coffee or a tea. $3 million home. She's got some paddocks out the back with stables and horses. Maybe we can go for a horse ride. I'm sure she'd have no problem with it because she stood up on the stage at the Grammys, tens of thousands of people watching in the audience, millions around the world. The clip's gone viral. Here we go. Oh, nice little place. Bins are out. It's bin collection day. First of all, isn't that ironic? Massive gates keeping people out. I thought Billie didn't believe in borders. Well, according to the driveway, Billie does believe in borders. She believes in massive gates keeping people out. A couple of cameras up there as well. The lights are on, so somebody must be home. Let us in, please, Billie. We are here because this is stolen land, Billie, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion. And such is Billie's concern for security and privacy. It's surrounded by pretty decent security fencing. Very nice indeed. Massive security hedges as well. She's taken a lot of concern and time to make sure she's got some privacy, as you'd expect. Oh, there we go. At the $3 million Los Angeles pad of Billie Eilish, she reckons nobody's illegal because we're all on stolen land anyway, but when it comes to her own house here in LA, I think she's got different ideas. So what was actually quite funny, Bev, was that today the tribe, the Ancestral tribe who claim original ownership of the Los Angeles basin, including Billie Eilish's home where we visited a bit earlier today, they came out today. They're called the Tongan people, and they're the Native Americans who were here before they claim anyone else. And they said, actually, Billie Eilish, we were here first and your gaff sits on our land and we've not heard a peep from you over the years. You're worth $50 million and we've had nothing our way in terms of reparations. So it seems Billie Eilish and all her mates down at the Grammys, they seem to have opened a bit of a can of worms, Bev, that they may soon come to regret.
Oh dear, oh that was brilliant, Ben, well done. But tell us, listen, tell us why you are there anyway. What are you there to do for us tomorrow?
Well, I'm up to a few bits on the schedule, but primarily tomorrow I'm going to be sitting down with Steve Hilton. Politicos in the UK may remember him as David Cameron's former director of strategy, as a keen Cameron ally. Anyway, long story short, in 2021 he became an American citizen. He's a Brit, he speaks with a very strong British accent, and now he is the leading candidate to be the next governor of California, believe it or not, according to the polls. So I'm sitting down with Steve Hilton. I'm going to be asking him about his strategy for California. Does he think the Americans will take to a Brit governing their beautiful state here on the west coast of America? Well, the polls suggest, as I said, as of December, he's leading the race. The primaries are in a couple of months and the election is in November. The sitting governor, of course, Gavin Newsom, or Gavin Newscum, as President Trump calls him, he cannot stay on anymore. His term limit has run out. Not only is Steve Hilton leading in the polls, he's also, as of the end of last year, the candidate with the most donations. He's got the biggest haul, something like $4 to $5 million, which exceeds all his other rivals. So you could see, maybe towards the end of this year, Bev, that Steve Hilton, who was a Brit, he's changed nationality now, or citizenship at least, to an American, he could be the next governor of California.
Amazing. Brilliant, Ben. I'm so pleased. But yeah, thanks for leaving me in the freezing cold of Washington while you're there in the sunshine. You get all the best gigs. Right. See you soon. Bye, mate. Cheers. Right, let's talk now to... let me just ask my panel, first of all, about that. What did you make of that, Reem? You were giggling all the way through that.
I was giggling about the whole thing. I thought was hilarious because it's just the irony of somebody saying, I believe in no borders, no restrictions, and here you have a very gated community. The problem is they don't believe in property rights. You know, obviously that is her home. You cannot enter without her permission. But of course, the view that that is the case for everybody else in America is somewhat different. So there is just something very sort of establishment-esque about all of these very, very glammed up celebrities talking about politics that they have no idea about.
And isn't the danger, Eric, that you say something like Billie Eilish, she's probably heard that line, there's no such thing as an illegal person on stolen land. It sounds kind of nice. She's probably read it somewhere, maybe on a TikTok video, she might have heard it. Be careful what you trot out on the stage, because you cannot escape once you've got involved in politics as a celebrity.
Well, but actually, I think when we look at the Grammys and you look at the people who are doing this, music in the United States has always been political. And we have seen time and time again music stars actually at the forefront of our politics and, of course, our resistance. We have to remember, Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, at one time was seen as dangerous because of the way he would sway his hips back and forth. People thought that that was seen as like satanic music, that he was influencing young kids and children. And so there's always been, I think, this unease between what is politically correct and oftentimes what musicians are doing in terms of their ability to shape pop culture. And so what I think we saw on that stage is something that's par for the course. All
right, let's talk to Brillin Hollyhand now, American political commentator. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. So I'll ask you on this topic. Let's start with this then, with Billie Eilish's comments about the fact that there's no such thing as an illegal person. You've seen Ben Leo there knocking on her door. Funnily enough, she didn't actually answer the door. What does this story tell you? What's the moral we can take from this?
Yeah, she had a lot to say on that Grammy stage. She didn't have a lot to say on her stolen land back home in that $3 million mansion. She was real quiet then. She cried out about a border wall being racist while sitting behind her heavily guarded border wall. I don't think anybody cares about the Grammys at the end of the day. It's just another example that these actors are not getting gigs. These musicians are not getting good roles, so they're having to cosplay as activists. They think that they can go be a little politician on the stage. They think they can get a few viral clips. And at the end of the day, it's just not working. Bad Bunny attempted to do the exact same thing. He got up there and said, before I thank God, let me just say F ICE. What does that mean that he's putting his political stance above thanking his savior for giving him the opportunity, one, to be born in this country, two, to have the opportunity to succeed in this country? This is a religion for them. This isn't politics. This is a satanic religion where they sit and put ideology first. And another person that was spotted in the Grammys crowd that's not being talked about a lot was DEI Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Maybe she needs to spend more time figuring out what a woman is than spending more time listening to these political speeches at the Grammys. And frankly, I think it's embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing that if America is just this plot of land, why risk everything getting here? I mean, people build rafts out of garbage to come to this nation for freedom that Billie Eilish uses her right of free speech to just attack. It's embarrassing.
And you know, Brilliant, we had Jason Miller on at the start of the show, and he was saying the danger, though, when people with such a high profile as Billie Eilish get involved in these sorts of debates, it does cause massive division, because she can galvanise a particular demographic of young people who may not have had an opinion on the ICE agents and the work that they are doing lawfully, but now they are also against them. And do you know what that does? That also causes arguments in the household, around the dinner table. Everybody takes a side. It's not always just a sort of there can be really difficult, bad consequences for those sorts of statements, can't there?
Sure, I don't want to burst Billie Eilish's bubble because she thinks she's all strong and mighty, but she doesn't have the sway with my generation that she thinks she does because she went out on a limb and really hard to endorse Kamala Harris. But that race taught us that vibes and celebrity endorsements don't get you in the Oval Office alone. We actually need some policies to back that up. And her candidate had no policies. She ran on the platform of joy, and shocker, that doesn't get you to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. You know, what was proven at the Grammys this weekend was that you need an ID to get into the Grammys, but you don't need that same ID to get into America in the minds of liberals. I mean, these Hollywood elites sat behind border walls, sat behind the most heavily guarded event in American history with armed security protecting the stage while wearing buttons, encouraging Americans to not have that same security. And the button that she was wearing, defending Alex Peretti, defending Renee Good, I promise you, she would not have uttered their names if they were killed by illegal aliens. Why do I say that? Because she didn't utter their names when Laken Riley was murdered by an illegal alien. She was a college student on a run after school one day and didn't make that attempt to post a square on Instagram for her, to make a social media hashtag for her, to wear a button with her face. They do not care. This is politics for them, because they don't have good candidates, they don't have good policies, they have to run after victims and tragedies, and it's sad.
And it really draws that distinction, you've drawn that distinction there, between the protected elites and the people on the street, the people who like President Trump because of what he tells them and what he represents, and the fact that they're going to start feeling them more money in their back pocket and all of those things. It's not relevant to people in that room. That issue, though, is also very much at play in the Epstein files. The life that can be lived between those at the very top of the tree with power and influence and money and access, and the rest of us out here in the real world. What are your big takeouts, Brilliant, from the latest Epstein files? What's really caught your eye? Because there is a lot.
There is a lot, and I think it's great to finally see transparency. I think it's embarrassing that somehow this is being blamed on Trump, while Obama sat in office for 8 years and Biden sat in office for 4 years, had these files and didn't choose to release them because they didn't want that transparency exposure out there because, one, they were implicated, and two, their best buddies were implicated in them. I think this proves what we've been saying for, what, a decade, maybe 2 decades now, that Bill Clinton was right there as a sleazy buddy on the jet, on the island, and people called us conspiracy theorists, and every time a conspiracy theory comes true, they got to come up with another claim to throw at us because there's pictures, there's documents, there's flight records to show that the man wasn't only a creep with Monica Lewinsky in the Oval Office, but he was also a creep after office. And this whole, I'm a better man, I've bettered myself, he's not. And I think we have to see them be, unfortunately, drug in front of a congressional hearing to finally get some transparency, because all they know how to do is lie. So we put them under oath. If they lie again, we'll see you in prison.
But the only person who's in prison at the moment is Ghislaine Maxwell, and Epstein, no longer with us, apparently. Who else do you think? Do you think we will see anybody else in prison? Do you think we will ever get that? Because context is everything with these emails. And I was reading through them today, and it reminded me of kind of my university English literature days, where you see a quote, well, is it a reliable narrator? What is the protagonist actually doing? What is the setting of this? So you could look at these quotes either way. Will there be enough in there, and is there the will now to try people and see them behind bars?
So the Clintons have always had a trick up their sleeve. They have some connection, they have some money and power. They think they can wiggle their way out of these suicides or attempts to kind of just brush something away out of the media, and they can't brush this away. The emails are out there, transparency's here, and that's what American voters voted for. And they also voted for exactly what you said, accountability, which includes arrest. So I think the first way that the Clintons will end up in jail is if they lie and are held in contempt of Congress. They're thrown into jail like Peter Navarro or Steve Bannon were, because they should be held to the exact same standard. If that's not what it is, I think they absolutely should look into these emails where they're talking about being giddy and excited to appear on this island. What happened that they were so excited about to fly to this island so many times? I have dinner with a lot of really cool friends. I don't go to their islands and fly on their jets that many times. There's a lot of questions that should be looked at of what happened on that island. We can hold them for lying, but that's not enough. We need to see what they did and charge them for that, because if not, they'll continue to get away, and it proves to people that powerful people will hold to a different standard. If the left really wants to claim that no one is above the law, this is the time to come together and say, we're going to call out our own side. This isn't just a bumper sticker for us, but hey, our side made some mistakes. Let's say that they're not above the law. Right now, they're defending them, and it's frankly disgusting.
There are all sorts of theories, of course, about Epstein Island, whether he was a Mossad agent gathering compromats, whether the world really is run by an elite ring of satanic paedophiles. I mean, I don't know where I sit on any of this at the moment. I feel like it's all been thrown up in the air, and I want it all to land, and I want to have a clear picture. And I'm just not confident that we're ever going to see that clear picture. That's my frustration. I looked at it and I thought you would take every police force in the world to go through these millions and millions of emails and investigate every single one and knock on doors and put people under oath. And do you think that's why sometimes in the UK particularly, the audience is not that bothered about Epstein? Hopefully there's still some people watching at home right now, but they're not that bothered about it. You know why? Because they feel like nothing will ever change. The elites will still be protected. Will they, Brillin?
I hope not. And I think that's not what the American people or people of the world want. And it's exactly what you said. The word elite's there. We talk about Bill Clinton because he's one of the biggest facing people in there. Obviously, he's a former president. But this goes for people in, university presidents. This goes for tech CEOs. This goes for people on Wall Street. This goes for people in Hollywood. These people should be held to account to prove that we're setting a new standard. In this golden age of America, we don't let people get away with pedophilia. We don't let people get away with these alleged crimes. And we're actually going to prosecute that. That's what the DOJ should be focused on. It seems like there's finally having some transparency. It's unfortunate that it took to 2026 to finally get a new president in office to get transparency, but that's what we're seeing, thankfully.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Brelin Holihan there, American political commentator. Talk to you again. Thank you.